Hi, I'm Tan the Diet Coach, and today I thought I would tell everyone a little bit more about myself, some of the history that I have, and how I got started into bodybuilding, and how it's led me to this point in my life. I think some of my clients know this story. I tell it sometimes, but I'll try to be brief because I can be a little verbose at times. I started bodybuilding in 1985, and the first time I competed was 1989. I was 19. So when I first started, I was motivated to begin bodybuilding because I was about 104 pounds in high school. And at the time, I think I broke 100 pounds like when I was a sophomore, just that year in 85, which is my sophomore year in high school. And I tried playing football, and the coach didn't want to have a whole lot to do with me because I was so small. Even though I could play pretty good, I was a wide receiver, but they just didn't want to play me. Just didn't want. I didn't feel very welcome. And one of the actual captain of the football team, who was our quarterback as well, he saw. I think one day after practice, I think I was a little beat down, and he sort of saw me getting ready to go home and everything, and he sort of came up to me and he said, "Hey man, just hit the gym. It'll all come." And so I was really flattered because he was our captain. He was also sort of a popular guy on campus. He was a nice fellow to me, and it was encouraging. So it just so happens that about a week later or so, I was at Vons actually in Vegas because I grew up in Las Vegas, and we were shopping, and I saw on the news rack, the magazine rack, I saw a magazine, a Flex magazine, and Muscle Fitness, and I picked up the Flex magazine. I was looking through it, and I was like, whoa. I saw these huge dudes, and I was like, wow, that's what I want to do. So it was really easy. I instantly fell in love with bodybuilding just from looking at these guys. At the time, I think Lee Haney was Mr. Olympia, Lee Labrada was competing, Rich Gaspari was big. Like all these guys were in their just coming up. In those days, and and I was so impressed. I was like, man, if these guys can do it, man, I can do it. So I started my bodybuilding career in 1985 at 15 that way. I actually worked out at home for a couple of years, and then when I was a senior, I started working out at a gym. By that time I had moved to Oregon, where I went to college the following year at Oregon State University and studied exercise science and nutrition and biochemistry. But when I first got there, it was the first time I actually worked out at a real gym, and I actually had the great benefit of having some really fantastic mentors. Pat Downing, who at the time was the district chairman for the NPC in Oregon, he was the owner of that gym. It was called Downing's Gym, which today it's still called Downing's Gym. It has gone from Gold's Gym back to Downing's Gym, but it's still one of the main gyms. It is the hardcore main gym there in Corvallis, Oregon, still today. And although he doesn't own it any longer, I don't think. But fantastic experience. I remember walking into this gym and seeing Pat. He was getting ready for the Mr. Oregon contest that year. He was probably 2 weeks out from the show, and they had tested his body fat with calipers that day, and he was like 3.7%. And he was about 191 pounds, if I remember correctly. He's just a little bit shorter than I am, so he's like 5'6", and I was like, whoa. I was like, man, I'm in the right place. So it was a pretty intense sort of thing for me. I had never seen a real bodybuilder before, up close and personal. I'd never seen anybody like that before, and it was like, so I was like, where do I sign up? And so, I was saving money for a car at the time. I was going to buy a little Volkswagen Bug or something, and I had saved up, I think, $400 or $500, and it was at the time back then, the gyms you pretty much signed up by the year, and I put most of that money down on that gym membership because I was convinced that this was the right thing to do. It was an easy decision to make, and I don't regret it. And Pat became a really good friend of mine over the years, and he was one of my first mentors in the sport. Helped me diet for my first show, helped me with all these training, helped encourage me along the way. Him and his wife Susie, as well as the rest of the gym there. We had every serious lifter in the area working out there, and at the time, I think in the Pacific Northwest. There were several really great bodybuilders that would float through there. Aaron Madrone and these guys, I knew these guys as well. Shelly Beatty as well, who turned pro later. So there was a lot of really great mentors. I ended up being able to train with, and also he was one of my professors, Pat O'Shea, Dr. Pat O'Shea, who was an Olympic strength coach, as well as he was one of the professors at the university for exercise sports science, and I took courses from him as well. So it was really a great time for me to learn and to grow. I ended up being the nutritional advisor for the team, for our football team, and for the athletic department, and I ended up managing a vitamin store for several years while I was in college, and then and then I ended up working with athletes and doing it myself because they wanted to duplicate what I was doing. And I ended up competing the first serious time. Well, in '89, that was the first time I competed in as a teenager at 19. And then at 20, I competed at the Bill Pearl Classic and got second. And then after, to Henry Jung, who still competes today. I think he might be in his 60s. He competes up in the Pacific Northwest still, and he judges up there. Great guy, fantastic fellow. So all this, was sort of the beginnings and makings of my bodybuilding career, and I still look back at those years very fondly. And then we flash forward 28 years later almost, and it is been quite a journey for me. So I hope, and today now I make a life out of it. I never would have thought all those years ago that I could make a lifestyle and a career, and such a good one out of what I love in life, which is bodybuilding and helping others do the same thing. So it's kind of so for me, I feel like it was a bit of a charmed existence for the most part, but it didn't start out that way. Certainly, I had many years where nobody cared about me, except for me. So it was definitely quite a fun experience, and I still treasure all those days, and I still look forward to new great moments in the future. And today, it just keeps getting better. Actually, I get this wonderful opportunity to work with professional athletes and amateur athletes and other normal people as well who want to change their bodies and who want to tap into some of my experience and some of my knowledge, and I'm happy to share it all the time. And this is I'm so glad to have this kind of reward in my career. So thank you to all those people who entrust me to do that for them. And also I'm also extremely grateful to be able to have the experiences that I've had. So that's just a little bit about some of Tad the Diet Coach and how I sort of made my way through my early years. So maybe I'll talk about some of my mid-years later. So anyways, a little bit about Tad the Diet Coach. I'll continue to do some of these videos, and as I always say, stay positive, everybody, and I will see you soon.